you, Zimbabwe, for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. This is where the farming community and the various stakeholders in the agricultural industry here in Zimbabwe converge and share ideas as we pave way towards achieving Vision 2030 as a country. Now, today, ahead of the tobacco production season, the 2022-2023 tobacco production season, we are going to be talking of the successful tobacco float seedling production. And to discuss this and more, I've taken the liberty of inviting Mrs. Rhoda Mavuka. She is the head of crop production and molecular technologies right here at Tobacco Research Board. Mrs. Mavuka, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Adzanai, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in.
As we get into our discussion, ma'am, I want us to talk about maybe a brief synopsis, a brief background into our topic of today.
Thank you, Adzanai. Okay. As we go into the tobacco season, we're starting on the 1st of June. I think all the tobacco growers out there for the irrigated crop are ready to roll for the sowing season. We are encouraging our growers to go in with the float seedling technology system.
Yes.
And according to the Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan, as presented by our Minister of Agriculture, tobacco is set to reach some 300 million kilograms of tobacco by the year 2025.
Okay.
And in order for us to achieve this, Wadzanai, we need to increase productivity. And we can achieve this through float seedling technology, way of seedling production.
For the sake of our farming community and our audience there at home, you would find that we still have farmers that might be stuck in the conventional seedbed uses or however they do their seedbed when it comes to the production season. I want us to talk about the float tray technology. What does it entail? What does it comprise of? And how is it attainable for our local farmers?
Okay, so our first message to our tobacco growers who are out there is the first thing that they must take care of is the right choice of variety. A variety that is suited to their environment, a variety that is suited to the type of equipment that they have in terms of band capacity, and also a variety that is suited to the market. So the right choice of variety is the first step.
Okay.
Before we even go into the float seedling technology system, right choice of variety, number one. Number two, like you said, the conventional system way of float seedling production is an outdated, if I may say,
yes,
way of seedling production. Why? Because it uses very toxic chemicals for seedling production. Whilst this particular technology, Wadzanai, a farmer can relax and do other things besides just watering a conventional tobacco seedbed.
Okay.
So when we talk about the float seedling way of tobacco production, we are saying it's a sustainable method of seedling production that growers can actually use. I know now we've got sustainability issues coming up all over the tobacco industry.
Very true.
We are saying float seedling technology is a sustainable way of seedling production.
Okay.
It's easy. You just need a few components, your float trays, some black plastic, you need clear plastic, you need your float row cover for those who are sowing in June, and then you just need a thermometer for you to then monitor your temperature.
Okay.
Those are all the components, what's in it?
Still dwelling on that, maybe those are some of the basic requirements that you have just outlined. When doing it, when establishing it, what are some of the basic principles that a farmer needs to take cognizance of if he is going to establish a successful float tray system?
Okay. So maybe before we go into the basic principles, I can maybe first give the basic or the advantages of this system.
Okay.
As compared to the conventional system.
Okay.
We are saying a farmer uses much less space, from 100 meters for 1 hectare of tobacco seedlings to just 30 meters. That's 1/3 of the space you need to produce 1 hectare of tobacco seedlings.
Yes.
We are saying at the end of the day, once you are done, you're using much less chemicals. So for the environment and for you also as the grower, you are very much protected. We are also saying with the float seedling way of seedling production, you're producing a seedling with a robust root system, which has resilience in the lands and has easier takeoff.
Okay.
And we all know that the rainfall pattern over the past 5 years has been so erratic.
Yes.
And water resources are limiting for most growers out there.
Very true.
They do not have a reliable source of water. And we're saying with this particular system, you save on water. The conventional system, you water 3 times a day.
Yes.
In the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening.
Very true.
With this particular system, all you need to do is to water once every week, just maintaining your system so that it's floating at around 10 centimeters in your pond.
Okay, thank you so much. I want us to talk about, you would find that even in any cropping enterprise or even in livestock, there are pests and diseases that can be a nuisance in production. Can we maybe talk about those ones when it comes to the float tray system? I understand we do have the conventional one that we are talking of being unsustainable. Talking of the float tray one, what are those pests and diseases that the farmer needs to, to be aware of if he's going to establish a sustainable float tray system?
Okay, so we're saying particular maybe diseases to take note of would be your Pythium root rot,
okay,
of which we have already a program where you need to put in preventative measures for the Pythium root rot. That will be your major actually disease in the float system. And then we'll have the incidental pests such as your aphids and your cutworm. But the seed that we offer to the growers is already encapsulated with an insecticide that protects your seedlings for up to 6 weeks in the seed bed.
Okay.
So in terms of pest and disease management, you use less chemicals.
Very true.
Because you may just need to apply 1 or 2 applications of pesticides just to take care of the incidental pests and diseases.
Okay.
But the major disease to look out for would be your Pythium root rot. But we have solutions to that.
Okay, what about algae? You would find that in the conventional system, you would find certain portions. If you water, maybe if you apply too much water, you'd find certain portions whereby there will be algae. Can you maybe talk about algae? Is it also rampant in the float tray system as it is in the conventional system? What can you do to avoid it or to curb it?
Okay, so with algae, with the float tray type of seedling production, it's the bed construction that becomes very important.
Okay.
You should make sure that there are no spaces in between your trays and the pond, right around the plastic.
Okay.
Because it's those spaces that will then encourage algae growth.
Yes.
So once you construct your pond properly, you are good to go.
Okay.
But in the event that you do get algae, which is incidental,
yes,
there are solutions. You can apply your spore kill to get rid of your algae.
Okay.
But it's not something that we can say is a major problem in the float type of seedling production.
Thank you so much. There you heard it, viewers. On that note of curbing algae, we're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. We are here in the second segment of your program. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of these conversations. We are talking of becoming an upper middle class economy by year 2030. Feel free to get in touch with me, the producer, Wadzanai Manyore. It's on 0772-807-506. Alternatively, you can like my Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Leave your comments and suggestions. They are most welcome and pertinent to us. On our YouTube channel, Agribusiness with Wadzanai, we are also now available on Twitter, and our Twitter handle there is at agribusiness110. Now, earlier on, before we went to the break, we were talking of algae formation and how to curb or control it in the float tray system. Moving right along, ma'am, we are in the second segment of our program. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wadzanai.
Some of the key fundamentals that you might want to emphasize on or highlight onto our farming community there at home. I understand that most of them will be taking notes, and at the end of the program, they will be calling me, phone calls will be coming in. What was she saying? What did she mean? And emphasis on the key issues or the fundamentals that you might want to highlight on for a farmer who's embarking on the float tray system.
Thank you, Wadzanai. And to our growers, what we're saying is, for a good float seedling production method, or for you to get good seedlings out of your float system, there are key fundamental issues like Wadzanai has already alluded to. And the first one being good pond construction. We are saying our trays are floating in a hydroponic system.
Yes.
Which uses black plastic. We construct a bed using our bricks. We put our black plastic over it. And we should make sure that there are no spaces in between our trays and the plastic, so that we can avoid the algae that we talked about. So good pond construction becomes key. Your pond should be constructed in such a way that it is flat. There is no leeward side on a pond, because once you then put the fertilizers into the system, all the fertilizers will go to one end of the bed. So you need to make sure that the bed is standard, the bed is flat. So good pond construction, number one. The second issue is you need to fill the trays in correctly. You need to fill the tray properly. All instructions are there on the sack that the grow mix is sold in, and we will show you as a demonstration on how to fill your trays in properly. They should not be over compacted, because then they will sink and they won't be able to take up the water. They should not be too lightly filled in, because once that happens, the grow mix is likely to fall out of the little cells and fall into the pond.
I like that you alluded the fact of not overloading the flow tray. You would find that in our farming community, farmers are very diverse and different. Someone would say, "Andru severa medium yangu sakarega nditi ika irufa noshanda maybe for about 10 flow trays. Let me use it for 15 flow trays." And by then he won't be doing himself any favors. Yes.
Definitely.
I want us to talk about maybe, with technology advancements comes a bit of resistance. People might be skeptical and say, does it really work? You would find that some of our commercial farmers here in Zimbabwe have been up and about in Zimbabwe, in our farming regions, tobacco farming regions. Some are still doing conventional. I would ask them, but why are you still doing conventional when we have the flow tray system, which appears to be easier? How has been the uptake of this technology looking at our farming community? I understand that you interact with farmers. Have they embraced it enough, or there's still some bit of resistance?
Okay. So what we've done as the Tobacco Research Board is we've taken it upon ourselves to train the grower out there on how to use this particular system. We have training on station every Wednesday. Growers can come in. It's free training. They can come in. They can be taught on how to actually do the flow tray system. All over the country, where we put our farmers into groups and we actually train them right through from sowing right through to the end product. So we've taken it upon ourselves to train. Yes, there's still some form of, like any other technology. You will find resistance to technology.
Yes.
But we are saying to the grower, this is to your advantage. Unlike using the conventional system where you're using a lot of chemicals, you're using a lot of water. People don't have the water resources nowadays. So we're saying, take up this technology. With the trays, you only need to buy them once, and you can actually keep them for the next 5-6 years if you keep them properly. Under cool shade, where they're not bitten by rats. You can actually reuse the trays over and over again.
Can I talk about the medium? I understand that. Is it possible that it can be recycled after using it for tobacco? Can you use it next year? Most of our farmers are always looking to save. The thing is to cut costs, production costs, to make them as minimum as possible. What are the disadvantages? Is it possible? And what are the disadvantages that come with that practice?
So with this particular system, you can't reuse
the medium.
What we're saying is, at the end of the seedling production stage, when you then pull out your seedling, it comes out with its complete root system, including the grow mix that it would have been sown in. So there's really nothing there in the tray for the grower to then reuse. But reusing also, cutting costs, but at the end of the day, because it's going to become very expensive. Why? Because you are perpetuating diseases further from one season to another season. So we're saying to the grower, you really can't cut costs by doing the wrong thing.
You're only putting holes in your pocket.
Exactly. We are saying we want to increase productivity. We want to reach the $300 million kg mark in terms of production, and we can only do this when we're using this particular system.
Now you'd find that in conventional systems, farmers, after sowing with their can, they come in with a thin layer of mulch or finely chopped grass, and they will cover with a sheet to encourage germination. What is the case in the flow tray system? Do you just plant and put in your flow trays together and just maybe go? What do you do to encourage germination, to increase the heat units?
So for some of the growers who've taken up this particular system, I think it was a teething problem. Some of them went on to then cover the seed with grow mix after they'd actually sown. But we're saying with this system, you dibble your trays. Once you filled in your trays, you dibble them, and they create a micro. That little hole that is created in the cell creates a micro environment that encourages germination. It encourages the seed to then take up the water. So you don't need to cover. less labor, less costs.
Okay, you know what, talking of dibbling and also the sowing of putting the minute seed into that little depression or the little hole that you would have made by the dibble board, it is taking me back to about 2013 when I was doing my attachment at some farm in Karoi. It took me ages to fill in the flow tray cells, because I'd actually take a straw, leak it, put it in the bottle of the minute seed and try to drop it evenly in each and every cell. What is your advice when it comes to planting? You'd find that most of farmers say, that is time consuming, that is tiresome, is too much repetition, my eyes, I can't see properly. What is your word of advice pertaining to that?
Okay, we are saying farmers use technology to increase productivity.
Yes.
So as Tobacco Research Board, we went on further to say, okay, so how does the grower then actually, how is the grower able to then sow every little cell with a minute seed, pelleted seed? Well, we tried to increase. We've actually increased the size of the seed by pelleting the seed with clay material, so that you are able to then
hand pick it.
Hand pick the seed. And then also we're saying we've also gone further with the technology by further improving the way we sow. What we've developed now is a seeder, which you then just need to put your seed over the seeder and pull it out, and your seed just falls right into the cell.
Okay.
So it's very cost effective.
Yes.
It's not about using the straw, it's about using technology.
I'm very happy that it has been addressed. Yes. On that note, we are going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. We are here in the third and final segment of your program, Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. Now, in this final segment, Mrs. Mavuka, I want us to talk about nutrient management, especially aligning it to the flow tray system.
Thank you, Wadzanai, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Wadzanai, in terms of nutrient management in the float system, we are saying float fertilizer, which is a liquid fertilizer you can use in your pond water. This float fertilizer is applied at 7, 21 and 35 days after sowing. Thereafter, you then need to come in with a top dressing application at 42 days after sowing. But we are saying the nutrient management is key, because if not followed correctly, it can actually lead to your seedlings not hardening correctly.
Okay.
If you apply your fertilizer late, it means your hardening process has also been delayed. If you over apply your fertilizer, we've got problems like salt injury that may actually come in.
Okay, yes. I like that we spoke about nutrient management. You would find that the name of our program is Agribusiness. We cannot leave out the aspect of production economics or business finance. We will talk of economies of scale. Maybe when you over apply, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're actually getting into the diseconomies of scale. So you need to have the balance to ensure that you get the dollar, the return per dollar invested.
Yes.
Now you'd find that for most of our rain-fed farmers, those that rely on rain-fed production, they encounter a scenario or a situation where you have referred it to as salt injury. What is it, and what is its prevention?
Okay, so with salt injury, it normally happens to that seedbed that is sown way after July.
Okay.
With growers who are sowing in June for the irrigated crop, it's normally not a problem.
Okay.
But in the hot areas and those that are sown after July, you will find that it manifests as capping and crinkling of the leaves and thickening also of the leaves. And this is caused by salt precipitation on the surface of the leaves, and it can actually result in death of the seedling. So the yellowing will come in, the browning will come in. But there are ways, Wadzanai, to actually take care of that problem. Because, like we're saying, it will be hot. So in order for you to actually prevent salt injury in your seedbed that is sown after July, we are saying you need to apply a mulch.
Okay.
That mulch would then help to prevent that evapotranspiration, where the salts are then taken up and deposited on the leaves of your seedlings.
Okay.
Yes. And where it actually has set in for the growers, where you find that you've now encountered a problem with salt injury, the remedy would just be to take a can of water and water from the top, so that the salts are washed from the surface of the leaves down into the pond water.
You would find that into our conventional system, which is the traditional method that most of our farmers are still into, you would find that they starve the seedlings. They do not water it for maybe up to roughly 21 days, so that when it is transplanted into the field, it can withstand the harsh conditions in the field. What is the case with the float tray? We understand that the float trays will be floating above water. So how do you harden something that is already in water?
Okay, what's nice. So the principle with hardening is really not about the water.
Okay.
The principle of hardening is about nutrients.
Okay.
It's about starving the plant with nutrients so that it doesn't continue to grow. It starts that hardening process where it's actually preparing for the outside environment. So hardening is not about the water.
Okay.
The reason why in the conventional system we then starve the seedlings
of water
is because we don't want them to take up the nutrients which are in the soil already.
Okay.
So where there is no water, there is no nutrient.
Yes.
But in the float tray system, we are saying your last application of nutrients is at 42 days after sowing, and you only transplant at 70 days or 84 days after sowing. And between that period of 42 days and 70 days, your water will be depleted of all the nutrients that the seedling would require, and the hardening process would have begun.
Now I want us to talk about SDG number 12 on the UN Agenda Vision 2030, which talks of sustainability in production. If you look at today's episode, it was anchored on sustainability, where we are talking about sustainability leading to success in tobacco production, leading to longevity in tobacco production. We are talking of limited water resources, and here you are coming in telling our farmers that float tray systems support minimal use of water. You can actually save on your water resources. Aligning it to your final remarks, your take-home message to our tobacco growers who are listening attentively to our program.
Okay, so to the grower out there, we are saying that float tray system way of seedling production has many advantages over the conventional way, or the way that growers had been used to in terms of seedling production. We are saying there's that reduction in area, which means you can use your area for other things. We are saying it eliminates the need for fumigation of the soil, so less chemicals are used. We are also saying that self-watering capillary action translates into labor savings.
Okay.
We are saying tobacco production must be profitable, and you need to save, and you are now saving on water, and it actually uses 10 times less water than the conventional system. It produces superior and uniform seedlings which facilitate easier field management, and the seedlings Wadzanai at the end of the day are drought tolerant.
Yes.
If you think of the past season where the rains came in very late.
Very late.
If you had planted a seedling that had been raised by the float, it can last up to 5 weeks.
Okay.
In the lands.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Miss Mawoka. I had an amazing time learning about the float tray system. I know that all of our tobacco farmers who are listening to this program took a note or two into their farming enterprises. On that note, viewers, we have come to the end of this week's edition. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. It's W Manyore. From me, Wadzanai Manyore, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.